Hello, hello, hello. It's your boy Mike. And of course, I got my boy YS. This is another episode this week. We decided to do another one this week of the DM podcast. It won't be too long, but we got a couple things. After we ended last podcast, we had a couple things that we had to get off our chest, a couple things we want to mention. And we had a couple news happen, so we just want to chat about it. But before I continue, YS, how's it going?
Every day above ground, brother. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain. I'm glad that you know me. I love talking NBA, so it doesn't matter if it's whatever time it is. I love talking NBA.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the first thing we're gonna mention a few things. Like I said, well, then we're probably gonna big topic and be about the Raptors because of course we are a Raptors fan base first and
Mm,
foremost, and
mm,
we gotta talk some Raptors,
mm,
especially. I
mm.
don't know what I don't know what the next 30 games are gonna look like, but they're gonna be some would say very interesting. So I'm curious what that's going to be. But first thing I'm going to talk about is today, JJ Redick went on first take,
Okay.
and he basically, I don't, most people, they probably seen, if you listen to this podcast, you should be very familiar with what's going on in sports. But JJ Redick basically was saying that, Doc Rivers doesn't have any more excuses. He can't have excuses. What's his excuse? He needs to basically be a better coach. And he called him out for just like his lack of being prepared and his lack of changing and adjustments, things like that. JJ Redick was kind of harsh on him. I want to say the exact quote. He said, "I've seen the trend for years. The trend is always make excuses, Doc. We get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's always an excuse. It's always throwing your team under the bus. There's never accountability." Marcin Gortat, who used to be a center for the Clippers back in the day, he gave a check mark. So clearly he agrees with that. He clearly agrees with that. So, and then Patrick Beverly commented on what JJ Redick said, and basically said that I have to find his tweet, but basically commented on it and said he made his uh his career. He doesn't know why JJ's talking. Doc Rivers, when nobody wanted JJ Redick, Doc had him as a starting two guard. Of course, Austin Rivers, went at JJ Redick as well. That's his pops. Obviously went at him.
You know what time it
You can
is?
only,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You can only imagine what the man said. He went after his pops, so can't go after pops and just have the man be quiet about it. And they work for the same like ESPN, so I thought that was kind of weird that they kind of like not they're kind of you know teammates. But what's your thought process of the whole thing that JJ Redick said? And I think me and you kind of agree about Doc Rivers, but what's your thought process?
Well, first and foremost, what is their record with Doc Rivers at the helm? You know what I mean? Are they? I
Three
think
and
they're
seven.
500.
They're three and
What?
seven
They're three
since
and
he
seven.
came.
Oh, not even 500. 3-7. Okay, with
Yeah,
Doc Rivers out. You know how I've been feeling, how we've been feeling about Doc Rivers for years now, for over a decade now, at
yeah,
least,
yeah.
right? So honestly, I agree with what JJ said. I'm not gonna lie, but obviously, as a players, as it's your coach, you're gonna stick up. It's your pops, you're gonna stick up. So we already know, you know what I mean. We already know. Okay, Austin's gonna do. Austin does his pops. Pat Bev, he's vocal anywhere he's been, so he's gonna
Mhm.
speak up. So and just because Pat Bev wants that chemistry, obviously, he wants to win a chip. He wants the team to get along. He wants to. But Doc Rivers, for years. How many teams has he had Hall of Famers and not get it done? It's been how much teams? So it doesn't matter to me what kind of play style, what era. It's been all eras, right? From
Yeah.
the 2000s to the 2020s, right? And it's the same result. So
It's crazy because we were just kind of talking about Doc on last pod, and
yeah,
like to me, like I agree with JJ. Like Patrick Beverley's only saying what he's saying because he now plays under Doc with Milwaukee because now he got traded so he's only saying that because that's his coach. And I think Patrick Beverley, he's if you're his teammate and you're his coach, he's gonna love you. He's gonna defend you always. Like you said, Doc Rivers' son is gonna always defend Doc Rivers. That's his son. Austin Rivers' son. Makes sense. He's not gonna say, "Oh, Doc, is not really a good coach. No, but like, let's be honest here. What has Doc done? Like, I've you like we said, we both have our feelings about Doc Rivers. I just don't believe he's the coach that like I truly think because he's a black coach, he gets a lot of pass. Because he was the coach during the Donald Sterling era, it gets a pass. Like he
Yeah,
gets a
yeah,
pass. He was a
yeah.
coach for it. He gets a pass. I think some coaches just have a little bit of luck, a little bit of love to them. Doc Rivers gets a lot of love, but to me, you guys fired Adrian Griffin. Let's just go there. You fired Adrian Griffin, thinking that someone else can do a better job. You got a veteran coach in Doc Rivers. And mind you, it's only 10 games in. Things can change, whatever, whatever.
Yep,
But
yep.
getting Doc Rivers didn't make me feel any different about this team, to be honest.
Me
Right.
neither. Me
So
neither.
JJ Redick saying whatever he had to say, like,
I felt worse actually when they got Doc Rivers. When they let go
right,
of Griffin for Doc Rivers, I'm like, y'all sure? Like, I don't know what was really going on. We don't really know what's going on, but they weren't like in fourth place or even fifth place. They were, I believe, second place when Griffin got fired. I
right,
believe like fourth best team in the league overall. So it wasn't like they were having a horrible season. Like they
right.
weren't having the season, the dominant season where Fear the Deer, Lillard and Giannis going to work. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that, but they weren't no joke either. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't that bad. I don't get why they yeah, it must have been some internal shit that they were clearly going. I know the defense wasn't good. I think Giannis and Dame weren't bought in, but you brought Doc Rivers, who's actually good with handling veteran teams, but he's good with handling like personality wise. But the X's and O's and winning the game, we haven't seen him do anything, right?
So
So everything JJ Redick is saying, honestly, like if we go a scale of 1 to 10, he's like a good 8 out of 10, right? Like let's be honest here.
a little more than eight. A little more.
Like he's not wrong, and he played on his teams, so he
Yeah.
knows he was on the team with the Chris Paul, the Blake Griffin, the DeAndre Jordan, like the Matt Barnes. Like that team was supposed to be good.
And now he has
That's
a platform to critique what
right.
Doc
He
Rivers was doing because he was, like you said, he was in the fire with him, right? He was
right,
coach for
right.
him. So yeah, I
So
agree with
he came with them, so it just makes sense that he would say a couple of these things. But to me, it's like okay, like it is what it is. Like he said it. He's right. I people can, he's right. I think what it comes down to, he's right. So Doc Rivers, he's a good coach. No one's saying he's a bad coach, but he's not this like he's not Eric Spoelstra. He's not Popovich. He's just not a guy that like he's blown a lot of 3-1 leads. Like that's what he's known for, like high key for blowing 3-1 leads. He was the coach for the Boston Celtics on one of the most like I don't want to call it overrated, but like overspoken about teams in like modern history. But then I also
definitely.
think to myself, as Raptor fans, we're gonna probably speak about, the Raptors title forever. So maybe that's just the thing. When you win, you talk about it a lot. But I don't know. I think it's one of the most overrated teams of like recent memory. But yeah. Any final thoughts on that?
Nah, nah, nah. Leave that. We'll leave that alone. We'll see. We'll revisit at the end of the season how good
Right.
the Bucks are doing.
Right, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So our main reason that wasn't even a part of our like main topics that we want to talk about. We both just wanted to talk about something random. Did you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You lead it off, brother.
So the first thing I want to talk about was Jason Tatum. It's funny because like I didn't know he had a interview with Malika Andrews, and he talked about being the best player on the court every time he goes against whoever. He feels like he's the best player on the court, and like Jason Tatum, I was driving today and I was thinking to myself like he's a great player. Like he's a top 10 player. We all know how good he is. But me and you talked about him before, and I said he has the easiest ability to be the face of the league, but he's boring. Like he's generally just boring. He's not a he's this sounds kind of like almost rude to say, but he's like a good father. So he's not marketable in that like his him being a good father is marketable in some sense, but like that's it. Like he doesn't his game isn't that flashy. It's not flashy, right? It's not at all flashy.
He
He
has
doesn't
moves. He has moves. Like, was Kobe's game flashy? Not really. Not
No,
really.
but I think Kobe had a lot of attitude when he played. His character was more like he had a more of a character to him. He had
Yeah.
a FU kind of character that kind of went
Tatum
along
is
with,
yeah, he's yeah.
right? So with Jason Tatum, the reason why I wanted to bring him up is, and it kind of leads to our next topic will be SGA. But right now we have to say SGA Jokic or Jokic SGA. We have Giannis, probably Luca. Some people are bringing up Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Edwards, but like Jason Tatum again, even last year, is going to be a top 5 MVP candidate. But for some reason, he's not being considered number one. He has the best team in the league, the best team in the
Yeah.
league. For like almost a second straight year, because well, not second straight. Last year, I think they were actually second, but pretty good team, I should say. So he keeps having these great teams. Why are we not talking about Jason Tatum? Like, what's wrong? Like, what are we just missing something? Why is he not? Why is he not the MVP? That's what I really got to ask. Why is he not MVP?
That's a good question. I don't. I can't even answer that, to be honest. Like they are winning games. They have the squad. They
Is it the
have a big
squad's
market.
fault? Like, is it the fact that he has a Jalen Brown, a Drew Holiday, a Derek
Maybe
White, a
maybe
Porzingis?
maybe a little bit. Like he made All NBA last season, right? So clearly the league respects him enough, but it's not to that extent, right? Not to. I don't know. That's a good question, man.
Is it? Would you also say it's potentially because of like he hasn't made it to that he made to the NBA Finals. He
Yeah,
wasn't good in the NBA Finals
no,
against
no,
Golden
no.
State. Jalen Brown was the better player. But he made it to the finals against Denver, was good against Denver. So it's just so he's made it to the NBA Finals twice. He has like a really good resume. He, like you said, he was an All NBA player last year. He's gonna be an All NBA player, probably first team this year as well.
And it was
So
first team last year. It was first team last year as
first team
well.
last year. He'll be probably first team this year. He has
Yeah.
all the stats. He's gonna be a top 5, probably an MVP when it's all said and done. All these things happen with Jason Tatum, but for some reason, I feel like we talk about guys like John Morant better. We talk about heck, I think we talk about Devin Booker, which I don't know why. But I think we talk about Devin Booker in a better light. Like we talk about like so much other guys than Jason Tatum to me. Like even Anthony Davis gets more love to me from the way people like from media, the way people talk about him. It's almost like we respect Jason Tatum because he's on a winning team. But other than that, it's like no one cares. It's like just no one cares. And my thing is like, if he wins the title, let's say they win a title this year,
You have to put respect on Tatum's name if he wins the title. Like
is he
he's
top
not
3 in the league?
flashy. He has moves. He has pivots. He has the spin. He has the in and out, the tween, right? He has the midi. He's a three-level scorer. And real ball heads appreciate three-level scores when you're looking at the offensive aspect, right? But
Right.
I think the chip will solidify. It has to. It solidifies everyone that wins a chip. It's like you're already in the Hall of Fame, right? You win a chip, All NBA. You're a superstar. Super. He is a superstar.
Yeah. Is
So
he a superstar? Would he is he would you put him with the Giannis's, Jokic, and Embiid's?
yeah, I would say he's a one. He's a tier underneath the Giannis right now, right?
But once he
Embiid,
wins the title,
I can't put Embiid with Giannis, right? I have to put, I'm gonna put Embiid in like that. I'm gonna say that he has an MVP.
he
He's a
does.
little bit above Tatum, but Giannis is above both, right?
Of course.
That title
Yeah.
speaks. Leading your team to a title speaks volumes, right? And he was the alpha dog on the Bucks get that title. So
Yeah. It's just like even with Tatum, right? Like, I'm so I think it's because I know that Tatum is so good of a player. And like once again, we talk about the Lucas of the world. We talk about just like I feel like we just talk about a bunch of Trey Young. Like I feel Trey Young gets talked about more than Jason Tatum. Mind you, Jason Tatum is still a top 10 player, but Trey Young's not. But we talk about all these guys more than Jason Tatum. And I'm just like, and I'm not even like I love the players in Boston. F Boston. I don't care for Boston. But I love the players in Boston.
they're
Like
good.
I love the
They get it done. They get it done.
they do, right? The Tatum's, the Browns. So if Jason Tatum wins the title, is he then does he then go top 3 players in the league? Would it go a Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, or where does that put Tatum? He's already like some would say 6 or 7. So how does he get to the superstar
Ah,
status?
so if Tatum wins a title before Luca, is Tatum above Luca?
Wouldn't you have to put him there?
You would have to, but then as a coach, as a GM, right now, who would you start your team with? Luca or Tatum?
Hey, you know what's crazy? I okay, fine. The great question. Like I'm probably going Luca, right? But
Yep.
the smarter decision is Tatum. Luca, he you have to build around too. You have to bring too much guys to build around Luca. Where Tatum, you can put like a bunch of mids. Like it almost has to be perfect around
I
Luca,
love your description. I like what you're onto. I agree with that
right?
because
Like it's like with Luca, you have to build his team. With
yes,
Jason Tatum, it doesn't have to be his team. Like you can put a bunch of guys around him, and he can make do. I think of that,
yeah, because Tatum doesn't need the ball in his hands for 18 seconds like Luca does, right?
right?
You need Luca is the guard. He's top of his team with rebounds a game,
He
right?
does.
Most in points, most in assists, right? Tatum is, I guarantee, not the most in rebounds, not the most in assists, right? But the most in points on the squad. So there's every player has their roles, while Luca is the role.
Right.
He is the role.
He's the team. He's the system. He legit is the system, and Tatum is not the system. He's
Exactly.
the best player on his team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's
So
different. Right?
it makes it real different. So then we'll move on to because Tatum. I just think eventually we should talk about him more. He just doesn't get talked about a lot. Heck, he was the All Star MVP last year,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So
But
and he
does
has the most
All-Star
points in
MVPs
All
really
Star
matter? It don't really matter the All-Star MVPs anymore.
in this day and age. But like I don't know, I think it's still good because guys still kind of want the accolade. So it's kind of good. But you're the one thing like how does I want to say this in a nice way? I feel like All Star MVPs went to like top 10 type of players. Like, and then now it's gone to not saying he's Dame was a top 10 player, so I don't want to disrespect him. Jason Tatum is a top 10 player, but I feel like I can kind of see what you're saying. Like it doesn't have the same feeling when like Kobe and Shaq won. Like that one time MVP they won.
Mm,
Like when LeBron won the MVP, when Kevin Durant, or heck, even Kawhi, like these were like top three players in the league at the time that were winning MVPs.
yep,
So like,
yep.
that's where I can kind of see where you're right. Like it's not like it's like top 10 guys winning nowadays, not the top like 2, 3 players winning,
Mm-mm.
right? It's whoever shoots the most threes right now is about to win this award, right? Whoever's gonna shoot the most and not show they're the best of the best within their guys. So I want to talk about SGA, right? So we were kind of talking about what the rest of the season is gonna look like. SGA, to me, there was just a poll I think on ESPN that said he's the number one potential to get MVP. SGA to me, like I don't believe Jokic is gonna win the third one. I just don't see it. I think it's SGA's to lose. Honestly, there's no one who could come closer to him. The MVP is narrative driven. We have to drive the narrative. Last year was like, oh, we got to give Embiid one. We got to give it to him. We have to just shut him up. Got to give Embiid one.
Mhm.
This year they're like, okay, well, Embiid's stepping up. We got to give it to him again.
Yeah.
And now he's not qualified to get it.
So that
Giannis
makes
is
it
having
even
his best
easier.
season. Giannis having his best season. So now it's to me like, is SGA's to lose? What do you think?
It's SGA's to lose, man. In my opinion, too, man. Like, oh, no one. OKC number two. OKC number two. Are you serious? Right? SGA having what is this? SGA 31, 5 and 6.5 a game this season.
He's good.
SGA.
He's really
He's
doing his
not
thing.
athletic as hell. He's not quick as shit. He's just getting to his spots. He's not shooting a lot of threes. He does
He
not shoot a lot
doesn't.
of threes, guys. Right? Gets to his spots, plays at his own pace. Doesn't even look like he's sweating out there. That's the MVP this season. You have your team in second. No one really would have thought. You know what I mean? That's the MVP. So
If Jokic gets number one seed in the West, let's say, which I think is going to still go to Minnesota. If Jokic gets number one seed, and the Thunder are 2 games back. Does it matter?
Thunder, if Thunder is two, SGA's MVP. Period. I don't care who's number one because Denver, we can all kind of say, okay, Denver, they were the champions last year. So yeah, they're a very solid team. Murray and Joker, they got something going on there, right? With OKC, you weren't saying that last year at all. You weren't saying, yeah, this is the top three team in the West. No, no.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, and I didn't even think I predicted Jason Tatum was gonna be the MVP, right? Because we talked about before that to me it was his to lose. I almost think like Jason Tatum is the most underrated like superstar, like you mentioned. Like he's not a superstar, but he's the most underrated star, right? And SGA is about to be like elevated to that level, right? He's about to get to the superstar door. Of course, he's not going to get in. You're right. You can only come into the superstar door if you win a title, but you can knock on it. You can always knock on the door. You can ring the doorbell. See, say hello. Can I come? Only a few people can come. Luka's the only one who's inside, but he's not allowed to take off his shoes yet. Like he's not there yet. Once he wins a title, then Luka can
And
sit on
to
the couch
me,
and chill.
and talking about Luca real quick, this is his season where he really, to me, has to do something in the offs.
Yeah.
They have to get someone in the offs, or else I better not be hearing for the next couple of seasons Luca, Luca, Luca. Because if he just keeps getting triple doubles in regular season and losing the second round, then
It won't mean anything. Great point. It won't mean anything. Luca, Luca's too good of a player, but if he ain't doing nothing, it doesn't mean anything,
it doesn't mean anything.
right?
Nothing.
He has to do something, right? And he has the Kyrie. He got PJ Washington, so it he has to do something. Agreed. That's why like SGA doesn't really have a lot of pressure this year doing anything. He has no pressure. Let me talk about OKC. They're just happy to be here. They're like, what's up? Like they didn't get a center. They needed a center.
That's
And
why
they're
they're
like,
going to be scary in the playoffs because they're happy to be here. They're going to play free.
right,
A team playing free and young in the playoffs, it
right.
could be a great thing or a horrible thing.
It's like Sacramento last year. Like they wanted to win the series, but like they were also just happy to be in the playoffs. They were like, man, we're just thank you for inviting us to thank you
Yeah.
for allowing us to win games this season to be good.
After
Like they
19 years, guys, 19 years.
like they were just happy. So
Yeah.
you're right. OKC's good because OKC's not gonna do anything until next year when they look at all their players and be like, okay, now we can like get our picks, trade some guys. But they don't have a big contract anymore because they traded Bertans. So I don't know what they're gonna do because they don't really have a big contract anymore. They'd have to trade a lot of their players for like a center. I don't know who that person would be, but maybe they'll still call Toronto one day to do all that. But yeah, so like SGA's MVP candidacies, like it's there. Like I think people have fatigue to give it to Jokic. I don't think they want to give it to Jokic. Now that of course we all know Jokic is Jokic. It's not like he's a bad player by any means. I just don't I think they just want to kind of move on to somebody else. And SGA, Luca was the best candidate. Let's be honest. Luca was supposed man, we all predicted Luca to win an MVP like 2 years ago. He's
Yep.
supposed to be the one that's supposed to win beer MVPs, right? That's the type of guy we saw. When we thought of Luca, we're like Luca's MVP candidate. He's going to lead his team, but
Yeah,
I think SGA is definitely going to get it.
he
As long as
should.
his team wins games, he's getting it.
He should. It'll be well deserved still. Well deserved.
And I think we may have mentioned it, but let me just reiterate or just re-ask. Um, is he the best Canadian basketball player yet, or Steve Nash still has that mental?
I'm going with Steve Nash still. Steve Nash has two MVPs, did a lot for the game, right? But do not get it twisted. Shea is making his mark, and
Yeah.
he could become the best out of Canada, period.
Yeah, he could easily. I think let him win an MVP, let him win a title. He's done.
If
He's
he wins the title and MVP, he's that, yeah, yeah, yeah,
the thing. The argument can be made if he doesn't even win an MVP, but he just wins a finals and he wins a finals MVP. Like he's the best player on the finals team. The argument could be made that he's probably the best already
yes. Even
because
better. Like
it's even
Nash,
better. Yeah,
Nash, watching Nash play was beautiful. His
He's
shot, if he was in modern NBA now, he would still thrive because it's 3-point shooting, and he was pretty much automatic from three. He was
right.
shooting 40% from three. He had a handle and he could play make, right? So he would be like the white Curry. You know what I mean? Let's keep it a buck, right? So SGA though has so much more skill set dribbling the ball than you know what I
Right.
mean? Getting to his like Nash get to his spots, but the shot making ability of SGA.
Yeah, the SGA's he has the potential to be the best. That's it's clear. Um the next topic that we were gonna bring up is something that you brought up that
Yeah,
you mentioned.
yeah.
So you lead the way and I'll chime in.
So Jalen Green. This was a guy that I loved coming out of high school and G League, I believe. Yeah, he went to the G
Yeah.
League, then to the league, right? I love the
Yep.
explosiveness, right? Athleticism, handle, right? Shot making ability. But I don't know what's really going on with him. I don't know if it's the new guys over in H Town right now. I don't know if it's his old ass baby mother getting to
Mhm.
him. I don't know what it is, but it seems like he regressed a little bit from his sophomore season, in my opinion, right? They should Fred Dylan should be like getting in his head. The veterans say, "This is your team. We're gonna feed you the ball. You're the leader. You're supposed to be that guy. We're the veterans, right?" Fred is not supposed to be going to the team saying, "You know what? This is my team now." Dylan's not supposed to be going to the team. This is my team now. They've been in the league enough to know. Okay, Jalen's supposed to be that up and coming star player. He hasn't really showed it. It's third season. We've had a discussion about before last podcast. Is it too early? Like Lakers were too early, right? Is
Yeah.
it too early to give up on Jalen Green? What do you think?
I think it is too early. So here's the thing. From day one, I've always said, from watching this man play ball, I've always felt he's Jordan Clarkson. I've always said it. That's not a diss. That's
It is.
just what I think he can excel in.
Yeah.
I think he can excel being a six man who can just more athletic than anyone on the court, and he could just do his thing. I always felt that way. Now, while you were speaking, I was looking at his splits, his shooting splits. He was a 34% first year, 33% second year. Now he's 30, so he's dropped down. His 3 point shots worse this season. His points are down from 17 to 22 to 18. Now, mind you, not in saying all that, he was supposed to be the team's best player. He was supposed to be. Team's best player is Sengun, right? The one that everybody loves. Everyone loves Alfred Sengun. I don't think everyone loves that guy. Fred and
Why
Dylan
not?
Brooks, I think they and Jeff Green, those are the vets that came. Now the question is like, did the vets hurt? Did the vets hurt Jalen Green? I think a little bit. They did when they should have helped him.
Yeah.
But I think they saw the work ethic, let's just be honest, in a Jalen Green compared to a Jabari Smith Jr. and then a Sengun, and they realized to themselves, hey, like maybe it was better to have a Sengun. Maybe that's better. Oh, like even so, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and a person brought this up. Sometimes players who play on other teams, maybe or like let's say a young guy and a little bit of a vet, maybe it doesn't work out together. It worked out with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, but it doesn't work out with everybody. They mentioned Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Evan, maybe they don't mesh. Maybe Mobley needs to leave. Maybe Allen needs to leave so that Mobley could be the best version of himself. They said the same thing about Jabari Smith Jr. and Alfred Sengun. Maybe those two don't mesh together, right? Because of they both are big, play around the same area, may have different skill set. Like Sangoon's a better passer, things like that. Jabari, better 3 point shooter, all those things. So maybe they don't play well together. But why I say that, it leads me to the Jalen Green thing. Like, would he have been better struggling in the beginning? Maybe like the way Cade has struggled with Detroit. Or is it better to have veterans around them? So I kind of I ask you again, is like, did the veterans hurt his game?
I kind of feel in a way they did, but it's like for the team to be where they are right now, the veterans have to be doing what they're doing right now, which is taking certain jumpers and looking over him on certain plays and whatnot, right? So they're just doing what's best for the organization in the sense of we need to get some wins. We need to try to make the playoffs and not be a joke, right? So that's what the veterans are doing, right? I don't see them overlooking him like Wemby on the Spurs, for example, right? But it goes back to what you were saying about do they not mesh well together, right? Like Sengun and Jabari Smith. And it goes back to 2016 when Jokic and Nurkic were playing on the same team and Denver made
Right,
the decision, right?
right,
And because they made the decision, look where Denver is. Denver has gotten, look at the player you Joe. If they were both on the same team for a few years, maybe that would have hurt Joker's development, hurt his confidence. Maybe we wouldn't have that Joker right now, right?
right. True,
So
very true. So
it's all
Sengun went from 9, 15 to 21 in points. His assists went from 2.6 to 4 to 5.
you see who's getting better, but who's putting in the work? You see who's getting better.
Right. So it's just like, Fred's averaging 16, Dylan Brooks is averaging 14, Jabari's averaging 13. Cameron Moore's averaging 12, which is like they came out of nowhere that 12 then.
Mm.
Like the team, they're a hard nosed team. But like we're saying, Fred left, I think Scotty and Fred, just to briefly talk, I think they liked each other. There's no
Yep,
doubt. I
yep. I
think
was
all
gonna
players,
say the same thing. It was this.
but yeah, it's because organizationally, once again, one of the things that the Raptors wanted to do is that they wanted Scotty to be like great, and they wanted everyone to kind of mesh together. They wanted them to slowly put Scotty as number one, but I think like Nick Nurse, Fred, probably a little bit of Pascal didn't believe that Scotty was the future yet, and the organization's like, well, Scotty's the future. Like I think that's where they clashed a little bit. Where here, I think like, you believed in Houston from day one. And I see why. Like, how do I say this? I think if they could have somehow packaged, and I don't know what you could have got, but if you traded Jalen Green for maybe two guys and then let Sengun develop even more, this is a playoff team next year.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that statement. I agree with that statement. Yeah, yeah.
I think Sengun is that good. I think he people call him little baby Jokic. I see it a little bit. Like he's not gonna like sometimes you can't always put guys as the next whoever,
Yeah.
but he has the skill set.
He's definitely has the intangibles like a Sabonis, Jokic in one sort of thing. I could
Right.
kind of
Like
see
you did
that.
a Sabonis type player. But Jalen Green, I just don't think like I don't know. And I heard reports already that like he's angry. He doesn't like being in Houston right now. He wants the ball. He didn't think that this is he believes it's still his team. He doesn't like the way things are going down. Him and Udoka have had a little bit of like some issues and things like that. Because we've seen Udoka's a tough guy, man.
Joker's not no bitch, so and there's need to be more coaches like that. Like,
He's not
hey,
gonna allow you just to walk around and
yeah,
think you can shoot threes and that's it.
yeah. Ill advised threes at that, yeah, yeah.
So he's gonna be on your ass like legit. And maybe he's a young kid. Maybe he doesn't like that. Maybe he wants to live freely and do his thing and da 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 da. He wants to go to Fashion Week and live his life. And like people criticize that in the beginning. Like a lot of people criticize that.
You go for
He ends up
longevity, not for the fashion shows. Go for longevity.
right. So like I don't know, man. I think like you posed the question about is it too early? I do think it's too early, but I also think the writing's on the wall of who he is, right? And of course, bands change, different scenery. Like, look at Laurie Markkinen. That man like became an all-star like
He was
player,
always a bucket though. He was always a dog to me from
right?
those days. He was always a dog. He just elevated even more. I
He
seen
did
what was that
so.
look? What was that look like? Not really? Not really,
Yeah.
you think?
No, no, no. He was good. He was good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't he just didn't get the opportunity, and opportunity is everything, right?
yeah.
Opportunity is everything, and he got the opportunity. So that's why he got most improved. That's why people like him. That's why he's gonna get a fat contract. That's why if they were to trade him, you trade him for a few draft picks and things like that. Larry Markin is a really good player.
No doubt.
But yeah, Jalen Green is just like maybe a change of scenery, right? But I don't know what team is gonna want him. If I'm being honest, I don't know what team will want him.
There's six guy off the bench in Memphis that he could be like a Clarkson in Memphis.
But if Jalen Green's in the Grizzlies, then it becomes too immature again. That team needs some vets. I think, like, mind you, now that Jaw's much older, everyone's a little bit older, so it's a little different. But like,
You
and then
keep
Marcus
Smart
Smart.
there. You keep Smart there. You gotta add a couple more vets, right? You're gonna get rid of Rose. Is Rose on Roses?
Yeah,
Rose
yeah, you
on
get rid of Rose. Yeah, I think Jalen Green is just like,
what
I don't
squad?
know,
What squad would fit him right now, you think, then, as a sixth man?
sixth man.
Maybe the Hawks?
Yeah, but there's just no defense there. There's no defense.
There's no defense in the league, really. Like
The
places
Hawks
where
definitely don't play no defense at all, at all.
it's
And they have really good defenders in like DeJounte, DeAndre Hunter is a good defender. Capella is a good defender. It's just really, Trey Young that's not good.
I just think DeJounte wanted to get out of Spurs and not just be ruled by Pop. That's how I feel.
Agreed, agreed. Even though he's now said that he would gladly come back, but I think the rumors are true. Like we talked about the last time, like Trey Young's getting traded there. But yeah, so Jalen Green is he's an interesting topic. I think he's a guy that like he's like a case study. He'll be a case study. The people are gonna because people are gonna really want to know like what did they get wrong? What do they think of this guy? But I also think like he's too talented. He actually has a lot of talent that you just don't give up on him, right? Like D'Angelo Russell has a lot of talent, like a ton
Yeah,
of talent.
yeah.
He's a good passer. He's really good shooter, especially when he's good. He's going. He's good. So you're hoping that could be the case as well, but it's not always the case. Especially when you're number two overall pick, people like they're waiting for you. They're waiting. Everyone's like, okay, let's see it. Like, let's go. And we just haven't seen it. We just haven't seen it with him yet. I briefly want to bring up the Brooklyn Nets and that like they fired their coach today, I believe. They fired their coach, and I like Jock Vaughn. He's actually not a bad coach. And the reports are still that they want to build around Mikal Bridges. Why do that? Like why?
Like
Mikel's
Mikal
not an all
Bridges,
star.
he's
He's
yeah.
he's not an all star. Like
It's like it's just reminding me of you trying to make someone that they're not. Like when Raptors trying to make Bargnani that guy, and he's not that guy.
yeah,
Just he was a guy that could shoot threes, 7 footer, mobile enough, could kind of handle the ball like a Turkoglu, but a worse Turkoglu. So that's the best Bargnani was, right? So Mikal, don't try to like you know what you're gonna get from Mikal, like a 3-and-D player. He's not an all-star guy you can build your team around.
yeah.
Like definitely
He's
you want him on your squad. He's definitely
he's
played
he's
2 games,
if
right?
you have a superstar player, he could be your second best player on the team.
Definitely.
If you have like a star player, maybe he's like your third best player, right? Like if you have like the Devin Booker and Chris Paul, he's your third guy. But if you had like a Joel Embiid, maybe he's your second guy,
And that's
right? If
okay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like once again, this is probably not now. And this team is doing too well to like make any changes. But I've always said you can always call Minnesota and be like, hey, put trade Carlton Towns for Mikal. You have the Anthony Edwards. You have Mikal Bridges, and you have a Rudy Gobert. It's a great defensive team. Anthony Edwards becomes a superstar. His second in command is literally like the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen of it all. Like
Nice actually.
right? And then you just have a really good bench and everything, a lot of solid guys around those three guys. I think it's possible. I think Anthony Edwards is about to go. Like, I'm very curious to see his playoff run and then his next year run because he's coming, right? He's coming up to
He's gonna
become
go
that,
berserk. Ant-Man is
right?
gonna go berserk. He's gonna
He,
go
he's
berserk.
he's becoming the guy, and I think we're all kind of curious to see what can become of him. So I just want to mention Brooklyn a little bit. Now, we said we are going to talk about Raptors. We talked a little bit about NBA a little bit, but like the Raptors, ultimately, you can name a player or just the overall squad. What do you want to see the next 30 games? I know we kind of mentioned it last pod. Is there a player, is there someone's like initial talent that you want to see kind of be showcased?
Well, honestly, I want to see more Gary Trent dribbling, creating his own shots, playmaking a little bit. I want to see that personally, right? That would make me happy, right? Obviously, Raptors, like I said last podcast, not tanking, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I just see a little more Gary Trent bag. You know what I mean? Him in his bag still. You know what I mean? What about you?
So I'll talk about Gary Trent a little bit. Um, so with Gary Trent, right? Like he's gonna go into this off season because he'll be a free agent. Raptors didn't trade him, so maybe Masai and Bobby see something in him. I don't know. Maybe the best bet for him is to. I think he should. I'm not sure how the rest. There's no more free agents anymore. Mans are getting re-signed real quick. There's long. It's trades that happen more in the offseason. Like the number one free agent is LeBron on a player option, then Paul George on a player option, OG on a player option. Guys who are gonna like take away their player option and just resign, right, with their teams most likely. LeBron, who knows? But Paul George is the rumor about Indiana. I would love that, but we'll see. But like, I don't know what's really gonna happen. With Gary, he's still probably like he's a top 10 shooting guard for the free agency, but he's not gonna get the contract. He's probably gonna get the same money he just got. Probably a 4 year, 90 million. Maybe that's gonna be where he hovers, which is around 18 million a year. Like
That sounds
that's what
good to
he's
me.
and that's what he's getting now, right? So, but he bet on himself, thinking that he's going to be a 25 mil person. Like that's what he wanted to be. But I just don't know if there's any squad in the league that's going to be like, yeah, Gary, we want you to be our starting shooting guard. You know, I just don't see it. So
He has
I'm
to show more. If that's he has to show more the last 30 games, right? But
right. His last 30 games, the man has to, he's already shooting 40% shooting the three, but he has to be consistent on it. He has to be consistent. Every game he has to average over 12 points. He can't go from 4 points. Well, he had like 9 points the other game, and then he'll have like 16 points. No, no, no. We need like
no, no.
16 each game, like 16 each game. So I know people already, like,
Mike, he's doomed to fuck up the parlays, man. He's doomed
he
to
really
fuck up
does.
the parlays,
He,
man.
he really does. And then, like, people already want Grady Dick to start,
I want
right?
to see more of Grady Dick in general. In
Yeah.
general, see more of Grady.
So that's see for her great. Let's go Grady get Dick for the next 30 games. We just want to see more of him.
Actually,
That's
I
it.
can I can co-sign that. Okay,
Yeah, we just want to see
Trent, I
more.
take that back. I take that back, Trent. Okay, whatever you do, you do. I want to see more Grady Dick. That's what I
Right.
want.
Would you want him to start or you want Gary to start?
Honest, here's my answer. I just want Grady Dick to get more minutes and not garbage minutes. That's all. Like get quality
Yeah.
minutes.
And he's
That's
been getting that a lot lately, where
yeah.
he's been putting up good numbers. Because once again, the Raptors are thinking about their future. Is there's potentially still a hole in your starting shooting guard in the future?
There is.
Either it's Grady Dick, who's your starting shooting guard, or it's gonna be, Gary Trent. Or if you really think about it, if you make Scotty your one,
Mhm.
then it's gonna be Emmanuel quickly as your two. Then you still got two guys who handle the ball. It doesn't really matter. You can say Scotty's the four and
Who has more
quickly's the
upside to
one.
you, though? I'm sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt, but who has more upside? Grady Dick or Trent at the two position?
No, it has to be Grady. Grady's younger. No, but then also Gary Trent plays better defense. But I've seen so much other qualities in Grady Dick. So I'm gonna say Grady Dick does. Here's more upside. Here's more upside. Because I've seen more of like, oh, if this got better, like he can kind of attack a little bit better. He can finish a little bit better. Like if he can do
He's
all
a
those things
rookie. He's
better,
a rookie.
right, then his
Got
potential is
better.
better.
Because we
Right.
both know that Gary Trent on a one-on-one, open, fast break, it's 50-50. Is Trent going to finish that leg?
Right.
It's 50-50.
Yeah, so I wouldn't put all my eggs in the Gary Trent basket too much. So yeah, so like I would say that. But so that's one thing is Gary. the thing is, Gary doesn't always show up off the bench, right? He's a better starter, which you can say that about 90% of the league. But Gary's generally shown like he's a better starter, and I think he wants to start. He doesn't want to come off the bench. So I'm very curious to see what the Raptors do in the future. But I know a lot of Raptor fans want to see want to see Grady Dick start. So I'm curious to see what do you want to see from Emmanuel quickly.
And I want to just see, more playmaking, just more point guard, just more him being a floor general, just slowing down the pace when it needs to be slowed down, stuff like that. But I know it's Scotty at the same
Yeah.
time too, so I guess I just I just want them to win, like overall, like
I
I'm at the point where I don't care who is balling. I just want them to be winning games, stringing on some wins. We're losing to everybody by double digits any given night.
it's bad. It's
You know
bad.
what I mean? It's
I think with Emmanuel quickly, I just want to see I think you're right, like the point guard qualities. Like, does he have it? Or is he just a guy who can handle the ball? Like I think you really have to evaluate what is Emmanuel quickly. Is he a point guard for the future? Or honestly, is he just a really good come off the bench guy? Like you have
yeah,
to, but he said he wants to be like the Drew Holiday type defender because he likes Drew Holiday and he wants to be more of a point guard. I think that's his goal. And him more than RJ and more than Scotty, he's the one you're really trying to like audition because he's the one you have to pay the most money to
yeah,
this
yeah,
offseason.
yeah.
So you need to say to yourself, if he a $25 million guy, is he a $20 million guy? Right? Is he a
Trent's
$30 million
18,
guy?
Trent's 18, so he's above Trent, right? So he's at least $22 million guy.
Right. So and that's your future. Mind you, he's still very young. So you're basically saying whatever you give him now, you're hoping he has to excel in that so that he has to max him for the next one. That's what you're really hoping for, right? So I think that's what you're seeing from Emmanuel quickly. What do you want to see from RJ Barrett?
More confidence in the shooting. You know what I mean? I just want RJ Barrett I just want him to work hard, man. That's what I really want from RJ Barrett because it he hasn't really gotten better since he's been in the NBA. Like he hasn't made that leap. You know what I mean?
Right. He hasn't made the
He's
leap.
played great on stretches. Don't get it twisted,
Yeah.
but
He hasn't made a leap, but the crazy thing is he's very consistent. I think that's the thing. He's still with the thing with the Raptors, he's gotten better. His points are better, and his assists are better. His rebounds are better. He has moments. I'm telling you, I watch RJ Barrett and I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, this guy can be an all-star. He can be an all NBA player, honestly speaking. Like when I watch him play, and I mean this like and this may sound even crazier when I say it, like when I watch him play, I truly believe that this guy could be better than not I don't want to say better than Scotty, but like he can be the finisher in the fourth corner. Like I
I could
truly
see
see
that.
it
I could see that, but
because he has all the talent.
he does. He
He has
does.
so much talent. So then I see it, but then I'm also thinking to myself like he's not consistent, right? You're
Does he
right. He's
want it? Does he want it bad enough? That's when I see RJ, do you want it bad enough? That's the first thing that comes to my head, right?
yeah, it's a good question. How bad does he really want it? So yeah, but I think next year my real goal for RJ is like I want him to be a defensive stopper. Like I want him to
Mhm.
be a great two-way player. You have the size and everything. Be a great two-way player. And then also see the argument that the Raptors have to have with themselves is RJ a two or a three? Because arguably you could put RJ at the two, then you have to find someone for the three, Scotty at the four, and then someone else. You just find the three man, right? And then maybe you still sign Gary Trent, but Gary comes off the bench. So does Grady Dick. So all of a sudden you have a bunch of shoes. I know they're gonna re-sign what's his face Kelly Olynyk soon. I think they're gonna sign him to like a 2 year like $15 million contract, not a bad contract. Eight
Right.
mil for your backup power forward. The man can still shoot 40%. Oh, catch and shoot threes. Like perfect.
Intangible, high
He
IQ,
he's perfectly fine for what
hit
he
on the
is,
line.
right? Now last but not least, Scotty Barnes. What do you want to see, Scotty? For what intangibles or anything you want to see from him in the last 30
And you know
games?
what I always want to see from Scotty, just, continue to grow, develop that handle throughout the rest of the 30 games. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. Just play with more confidence all the time, right? That's it. Just
It sucks, right? Because I agree. If we want to win, then I can't really ask of this from Scotty. Probably has to be for the off season. But I want to see a better mid range game
yeah,
because all the great players have a great mid range game. We all think that like Steph and Clay shot a bunch of threes. Man, look at their mid range. Their mid rangers are crazy. Durant, there's no question. Kawhi, come on, Kawhi. Like these guys have all great mid range games. I almost want Scotty to like do as much mid range games as he can. You don't want to be like like a Giannis where you almost lose your mid range,
yeah,
and then you rely so much on the dunk and 3 point shooting ratio. But to me, you can work on your because he actually has a kind of straight shooting shot, kind
yeah.
of the way Kawhi did. So I would
Has a
almost
nice
want him
shot.
to just continue that.
Boy has a nice shot. He shoots like a robot though. Just
Right, right,
really, yeah,
right. So that's the one thing I would want to see from him. Um, yeah, I think overall with the Raptors, you just want to see them like I just want to see like some growth within their game. I want to see, like I said, Emmanuel quickly is the one that you really got to see the most in because he's the one that you're gonna have to make the biggest decision on.
facts.
You
Yeah,
already made your decision on Scotty. You said Scotty's the future. You said we're gonna go continue with Scotty. With RJ, he's still a very quality player. His contract isn't bad. People may talk about it, but like he can always be a solid third or fourth guy on a
yeah,
title team,
yeah,
if you really need him to be. It's Emmanuel quickly, like it's him and Gary Trent. Those two guys. What can these two guys throw me in the next 30 games? Because they're the two guys that you potentially have to pay in the offseason. So you have to see what's gonna happen. So
paying quickly. But yeah, you already
yeah, you gotta pay quickly. But
know.
before we head out, anything you want to chat about?
No, man. I think we got it done. We got it done, man. We
We
got it
got
done.
it done.
We got it done.
Okay. Okay. So make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Follow on all social media platforms for me. Raptors Republic stuff is coming up. We'll be on that 3-3 tournament. We're gonna kill it. I know it. We're gonna have to practice and do all our shit. But it'll be fun. Fun. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. DM podcast episode 12. We'll talk again. Peace.